Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday morning trading room. One moment here while I get the screen share going on. So we've seen the NASDAQ rally up a little bit here through the overnight. Yesterday's session, not bad as far as volatility goes, although it was painfully slow at the outset. We did see a little bit of a rally, a little bit of a decline, a little bit of a rally, and then the market kind of went sideways. Through the Asian session, a little bit of an uptick during the European session. And that's making me wonder whether or not we're going to see a reversal against the overnight rally, because we do have a little bit of a gap now from where we left off down here. We have, about a gap like that may require filling. Trade forecaster says we are just coming out of trend mode, entering scalp mode. Oh, goody. Scalp mode, of course, suggests that the volatility is going to increase, which may require wider stops, maybe take profit on target versus trying to run profit a little bit further. We'll see how things shape up. If we take a look, I guess we could kind of draw a trend line like so. And another trend line, something like that. You can see that we're kind of trading near a resistance zone. Kind of overshot the upper end of the trend line. That's also a bearish type of sign. But it's still very early. The hawk, of course, into yellow bars. The Raptor currently testing or retesting the overnight high. We may see a failure there, actually. The market trying to head lower. Longer term, I've actually got an order to short the stock market below last week's lows. Now, that's a considerable distance from where we are right now. But I think a lot of traders getting perhaps a little more bearish on the stock market. We'll see. right, so here we are retesting the high. If this starts heading lower and produces a sell signal, that will be our soft edge sell. That's going to be the counter trend signal. But it is very early. And I do remember saying something like I was going to give the market a little bit more time to kind of set up some sort of, get a little more structure to it before I started trading. Well, good morning, Natalia. Natalia writes, good morning, Eric. I saw you're using the IWTM ATR trail indicator. Could you show cases when this indicator could be useful? Absolutely. Thank you for asking, Natalia. So what Natalia is referring to is this squiggly blue and red line that I have here on the eagle. Now, you know, my criteria for adding anything to a chart is, does it help you make a decision? You can add all kinds of indicators to your chart. You can add Bollinger Bands and stochastics and RSI and MACDs. But the criteria has to be, does it help you make a trading decision? Because if your objective is to try to filter out every poor signal, you're going to end up chasing your tail. It's a rabbit hole, or maybe I should say it's a black hole that you will never emerge from. The ATR trail line, which the trade manager uses actually to plot the ATR strategy. Let me see if I change my parameters here. You'll see that it falls right on the line, was first brought to my attention by Mike Filigera. Mike Filigera, he likes to trade the stock market with the DTS system. He's also a prolific writer. If you follow Mike online, it's, my goodness, do you never sleep, man? Because he spews out tons of content every single day. But back to the question. Mike said, you know, Eric, I find using the ATR as a filter gives me more reliable signals on the eagle. So in other words, he likes to take signals that are in sync with the ATR filter. Now you can put this on your other charts if you desire. It will function in exactly the same way. Or you can just turn on your ATR and plug in a value of 2.0. So for instance, now I should point out that Mike is much more aggressive with his eagle signals than I am. I like to take eagle signals where everything is in sync. That means the band is in sync. Preferably we've had a hard edge bounce or a cloud crossover or something of that nature. Mike will short and buy signals so long as they are in sync with the ATR. And he also has a much tighter profit objective, I should point out as well. My profit targets are usually a little bit more ambitious than his. So if I did a trade like that, that would be my profit target. But Michael will be taking trades, you know, he'll consider a signal like this, but because it's against the ATR, he won't take it. However, he will take a signal like this off of the hard edge, or when it crosses the hard edge, because it is in sync with the ATR. Now, I don't consider a signal like that valid because, you know, my cloud is not in the same direction. But he was right. As a filter, it is useful. It does, you know, help you avoid taking a signal like this one down here because it's not in sync with the ATR. It isn't a cure-all, however. You can see that here this signal is in sync with the ATR. Failed a little bit later, but again, Mike has a much tighter profit objective than what I do. You need to balance it as well. Here's a hard edge bounce, which we know, pardon me, a red bar buy off of the hard edge, which we know is a high probability signal. But it's against the ATR. So do you take the signal or don't you? Well, sometimes it boils down to logistics, right? If the ATR is too far above the signal, a lot of times I'll take the signal in hopes that the market will poke through at least a little bit. If it tries to turn, well, at least I can do something with my stops at this point. If I wait for everything to come into sync with the ATR, then this bar right here becomes my signal bar. And I would look to buy above there. So this now becomes my signal bar because this is the first bar where everything is in sync. Now that's okay too, but you can see logistically speaking, we're getting a little bit less room to maneuver. Right? Sometimes it's worth your while to take the chance, enter a little bit earlier, because if the market's going to perhaps test the extreme here, flinch and try to head lower, I've got a little bit more room to make that work versus if I enter a little bit later, now all of a sudden, you know, my entry is up here. I don't have as much room to do something. Had I entered earlier, I may even have the opportunity to get the trade to break even or take a small loss. But if I enter up here and the market just pokes through and starts to head the other direction, well, then I don't have as many options. So it's a good filter. It's easy to put on. You just go to your indicator window. And here in your indicator assortment, find your IW indicators. And here it is, IWTM ATR trail. You can see that there's various trade manager plots. You can use the chandelier. You can use the super trend. They'll do the same thing. If you double click on it, it will end up down here. You don't need to make any changes. Just apply it, and then you will have this squiggly red and blue line on your chart. So that's all it is a little bit of a filter to, um, avoid signals like this. The signals do tend to have better follow through when everything is in sync. Okay, we're chopping about a bit here. We've just had a hard edge bounce signal on the Raptor. If we come back with a number 2 signal now, that could be a high probability signal. I find that the soft edge sell signal, or the soft edge buy signal as the case may be, tends to work a little bit better after an attempt at a hard edge bounce, which would be the number 3 signal, of course. We'll see what they do. Very tight opening range so far. My goodness, that's tiny. It's barely 10 points tall. Well, there we go. Got a little bit of a push through the high of the morning. And this is not a first micro-macro cross signal on the hawk. When that signal produced, the macro line was still gray. All right, here they come. They're starting to reverse, a little bit more selling off of the overnight high. So waiting for that warning dot, and then I can set up my soft edge sell signal. Come on. We had a big island of selling kind of make its way through, but so far we haven't seen the follow through on it. Come on. Anything else? No, the Falcon actually producing a trend change signal, or the beginnings. We have the warning dots. We don't have a buy signal just yet. The Eagle still, producing those buy signals coming out of the cloud. So the Eagle and the Falcon right now, bullish. Well, as is the Raptor, I suppose. The Raptor did give us the hard edge bounce down here. We'll see whether or not, or what they can do with this, if they're going to manage to rally through the high. All right, here they come again. Almost at the end of opening range, so a really subdued session here this morning. The Geiger counter keeps pulling hard here to the short side, so you can see we're getting a lot more aggressive selling going on. Again, when you see that kind of thing happen on your Geiger counter, you would anticipate some follow through. If you don't get the follow through, that tells you that the buyers have absorbed all that selling pressure and the market is likely to head higher. Well, there they go. They're going to try to test the overnight high. At the high of the morning so far. No, not missing anything. buyers keep pushing here, but they're not getting any higher. That's kind of bearish looking as well. All right, so they did manage to push on through. So far the buyer's still in control. All right, there was the breakout attempt. This would also, I would consider this still a test of the extreme, even though it did get a little bit higher. If it fails at this point, that does suggest a test of the extreme and a failure, excuse me, which is, of course, what we're on the lookout for. We're on the lookout for a lack of follow-through. We do have an FOMC statement coming out this afternoon, and that's going to put a little bit of a damper on today's trading, I think. think the number 3 signal did get to its profit objective. Yes, it did. So let's see. Here they come. There it is. All right, so there's the soft edge sell signal. I just hit the sell button to get me in. Stops, of course, above the high. Uh-oh, what's up with that? Coming back with a hard edge bounce again. So we got a little bit of a tug of war going on here at the moment. Taking another whack at the highs here. Oh, they're trying hard. I could place my stops above the secondary resistance zone as well. That would also be acceptable. Oh, the seller's got to get busy. Oh, come on. Tough work here this morning. All right, we do need to see, or I need to see, um, a move back here below 59.47. That would give me a little bit of wiggle room, as it would show that the sellers have taken out at least a minor swing low, and that they may well challenge the lows of the morning. Yeah, like Mark says, tough, yes, but it sure beats laying blacktop, I'm sure. Yes, I've had many unusual jobs over my career. The worst ones usually involved a shovel. They're really sticky here as we're getting close to this little trend line right there. That's what I'm looking to break, right? If we can get below there. Then we'll, at the very least, be in a retracement mode. Not saying that the sellers are going to take over. But we'll at least see something resembling a retracement. And then, of course, the bigger obstacle would be the low of the morning. But I'll be content to get my profit if I can get it. Come on, sellers. You know you want to. Well, the buyer's still very, very strong here. I think I can safely say if I do get tagged on the next rally, well, then I'm definitely on the wrong side of this trade, and it's time to go. Nuts. Here they come again. This is like a game of cat and mouse where we're not the cat. I feel like I'm getting beat around here by the market a lot. Bounce back and forth and no real follow through one way or the other. But the good news is, haven't been stopped out yet, so not complaining too much. The danger, of course, is that they'll try to poke through the high of the day just by a tick or two before reversing again. Yeah, Jeff, you're right. Jeff says maybe the crude inventory report at the bottom of the hour may provide some excitement here. Crude getting a little bit more bearish, where we've actually produced a series of soft edge sells, and the market finally getting a little bit of traction here to the short side. Crude inventory in about 3 minutes time, and normally I like to bracket crude, but which way to bracket this one? And I think I'm having some trouble here with my trade manager. That's a little better. So, don't really know which way I want to bracket this. The alternative is to let the inventory report release, see what kind of range we get, and then bracket the range. So we'll see what happens here in a couple of minutes. David asks, did I just notice when you were wrangling with the trade manager that you've created multiple trade manager presets for each of the different birds? Yes, definitely. Once you have your trade manager set up with your preferences, like your preset profit targets, how you want to take your profit, whether you want your default to be the risk percent mode, how much, or whether you want to go to manual mode by default. Once you have your defaults set up, do yourself a favor and give it a name. So here, when you're in your trade manager, here where it says save, just click on there, type in a name, and press enter. So when you load a clean chart, or if you need to reboot your trade manager, well, I can't do it now because I've got the trade manager on, but you'll be able to load it from your save templates. Likewise for your Raptor, once you get all your settings set, you see I've changed the warning dot color a little bit from the preset. Once you get those things set up the way you like them, then sorry, I'm just can't do two things at once. Once you get things set up the way you like them, then make sure that you save them so that you don't need to redo it every single time. Okay, so the crude inventory report just released, and we know the bottom end right here. We'll see where the market gives us a top end, if it gives us a top end. And then I'll set my OCO order. Oh, come on, give me at least one bar down. Don't just put a tail on it. All right, well, there it is. As uneventful as it is, there's your crude report. Everything moving in slow motion here this morning. Well, so much more excitement there. I guess we'll put that one back on the shelf for now. But there's your range if you want to bracket it and just let the market figure out which way it wants to go. And we'll return now to the action here on the NASDAQ. Should have maybe been following the E-mini. It has a little bit more follow through to it today than the NASDAQ. So here comes the rally again. As the buyers try to make one more run at the upside. Oh, I think crude oil just filled my order. It did too. So here's a crude breakout to the upside. I should probably get a stop and play. That would be prudent. All right, well, we'll see what comes of that as crude oil attempts to rally higher. Well, so far they're continuing to hold the highs. If we produce another sell signal here, I'm surprised we actually didn't get a counter trend signal here, a number 2 signal producing off of one of these. Oh, yeah, right you are, Francisco. Francisco says crude oil's on the move. So here's the crude oil trade, and my stop's now at break even. I may move into a parabolic, which will do a good job if the market starts to get some traction to the upside here. The parabolics will do a nice job of bringing my stops in as the trade progresses higher. The next most aggressive strategy is the bar high low, and actually they're really getting up there. So perhaps I'm going to go with the bar high low strategy and only give it a couple of bars. I don't want to let too much get away on me here. Crude oil can be very fickle, of course. Not like the NASDAQ. Is this thing on? Oh yes, okay, it's working. Thank goodness they put the bid and ask histogram back so that we can actually see that our data feed is on. All right, crude oil reversing a little bit and hitting my trailing stop. So banking profit now on the crude oil trade. Hooray for us. And once more, the NASDAQ attempting to get below this primary, or not primary, but secondary resistance zone at 59.47. All right, here we go. If we can finally break through here, the chances are pretty good that we should test the low of the morning. Oh gosh, I think I'd just better shut up. Every time I talk about it breaking, the market seems to find some support. Okay, I'm just going to be quiet now. Come on. There's not really much, to give us clues one way or the other. The Geiger counter here, pretty evenly balanced. The fact that the market kept challenging the highs without much follow-through suggested that prices may try to head lower. And I think what I'll do is, if this bar finishes on the low, I will take the break even on this trade, just because that's the kind of day it's been. Oh, you're kidding me. Don't you dare flinch. Don't you dare get that close after all this and then flinch a couple of ticks from my profit target. What's happening is we're getting some early buying off of the low of the day. Must have executed some buy orders. We've got some selling spikes here that helped push the market finally through that 59.47 zone. Don't believe it. After all that, oh well, welcome to the exciting world of trading. Darn it. Had the right idea and everything, just, well, it may turn out I was too fast with my stops, but honestly, I did not feel like giving that trade much more room. All right, boys and girls, I think we're going to button up shop here a little bit early this morning. I don't think we're going to miss out on anything. The FOMC minute release this afternoon really putting the damper on the market. If you want some excitement, try to trade it after the FOMC minutes are released, but until then, I think it's just going to be more of the same painful, foot-dragging, sideways type of market. Tomorrow should be better, though. Hopefully the minutes will give the market some directionality. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.